Well, I hope this turns out better than The Predator. The Suicide Squad is brought to us by director James Gunn and stars Idris Elba, Margot Robbie, John Cena, and Joel Kinnaman. So this is a reboot or a redo or a reimagining, or it's a re-something of Suicide Squad. But it's not the same movie, though it does include a few of the same characters played by the same actors, and it apparently takes place in the same universe, and it has the same name, except for much like 2018's The Predator, they added "the" to the beginning of it. So be sure not to get it confused with 2016's much maligned Suicide Squad, because why would you? Now, while this movie does share quite a few of the characters, the title, and even the same universe as the 2016 film, what it does not share is how bad that movie is. No, this movie is actually a really good time, and much of that can absolutely be attributed to director James Gunn. This is a James Gunn movie through and through. If you've seen any of his previous films, you will see his fingerprints all over this thing. That crazy kind of erratic tone that the 2016 film had is all gone. This time around, it is pure fun and bloody good times. And when I say bloody good times, I don't mean in like the British kind of bloody good. No, I mean like fucking blood. Like there's a lot of it. This movie is very rated R. And while a rating does not a good movie make, it is absolutely suited to this film. And this isn't like Batman v Superman Ultimate Cut little rated R. No, this is like legit rated R. You got adult themes, language, tons of fucking gore, people's faces being blown the fuck off, limbs being lost, stabbings, shootings, explosions, blood and gore all over the fucking place. It's a really good time. Kind of makes me sound a little sadistic, but whatever, this movie's a really good time. Now, the story in the Suicide Squad isn't really all that deep. It's actually fairly simple. That doesn't mean it's not interesting, there's just not a whole lot going on there. But that's okay in this case because it allows us to focus on the characters. And seeing as how this is an ensemble piece, that's what it's all about, is the characters. A good portion of this movie's success would absolutely hinge on the characters, and they got it all right. From Idris Elba's Bloodsport, which clearly was supposed to be Will Smith's Bloodshot from the last film, to Ratcatcher 2, Polka Dot Man, King Shark, and Harley Quinn. Everybody gets their time to shine here, and we get to know each of these characters. The movie never solely focuses on one character or another. It does at one point lean a bit more into Harley Quinn's story, which these kind of movies tend to do, but it never becomes Harley Quinn's movie. We still get a decent amount of time with everybody. And while we get to know each of these characters individually, the thing that really stands out here is some of the relationships that develop between the characters throughout the film, such as Ratcatcher 2 and King Shark, John Cena's Peacemaker and Bloodsport, and returning members Harley Quinn and Joel Kinnaman's Rick Flag. While all the characters do come together, it's these individual smaller relationships that really push the narrative forward with this character development. It's what really gives the movie the emotional heart that it has. Now, everybody here did a great job with these characters. There isn't a bad performance in the bunch, but the one that stood out above all the rest was John Cena's Peacemaker. The guy, quite simply, was just funny as hell, especially his interactions with Idris Elba. These guys played off each other fantastically. Also, might I say that Viola Davis as Amanda Waller is quite possibly the greatest casting choice ever. And yes, regardless of how bad it was, that choice came from the original Suicide Squad movie, so we gotta at least give the movie that much. Here, she is the Amanda Waller they wanted her to be in that film. She's actually pretty damn terrifying and threatening. She is the fucking devil. Overall though, I was pleasantly surprised by all of the performances we got here and all the heart that they actually put into their characters. Now, while this is a comic book action movie, it is also a comedy. This movie is really funny, and the vast majority of the humor here lands. Now granted, some of it was kind of pedestrian and did just elicit a smile on my face as it happened, but other parts of the movie were actually laugh out loud funny. Now that being said, there was something that the movie did that I wasn't expecting. Or actually, it's that the movie didn't do something that I was expecting, but that's a good thing. And that is ruin some of the dramatic tension with unneeded comedy. This is a comic book movie with a healthy dose of comedy coming from a director who has made MCU films. So I was kind of expecting that MCU thing where they have a moment with some emotional weight and they break it up with some unneeded comedy. But that's not what happens. There's actually one scene in particular that I was absolutely expecting. There's even a shot where I'm like, oh, okay, yep, they pan over to this other person. I'm like, there it goes, here it comes, he's about to say something. But no, nothing's ever said. They just go with it. They let the emotion in the scene lead the scene, and it absolutely fucking works. Marvel Cinematic Universe, you do a lot of things better than DC does, but this is something they absolutely got you on. Watch these scenes and see that it is okay to have moments of emotional growth in the film. It is okay to have one of these moments that doesn't have to be broken up by some cheap comedy gag. I really appreciated them doing this in this movie, and it gave these moments so much more weight. Now this movie's got some great action, and it starts off with a bang. The first act is an amazingly good time, and the final is an awesome ride with a very satisfying ending. But that middle portion, the second act, things do dip a bit. It's not the entire act. It actually starts out pretty good, but it's kind of the second half of the second act. It's like our characters don't have a whole lot to do at this point. It does feel a bit padded out in this portion of the film for about 15 or so minutes. It's never boring and there is stuff happening, but there is about a 10 to 15 minute chunk right there around the middle of the film that does sag just a bit. Not saying they should have cut this part out of the film entirely, but they could have maybe tweaked just a few things here or there and tighten it up just a bit. Because while I had an awesome time with the first act, the third act, and a fair amount of the second act, that chunk of time right there did have me looking down at my watch once or twice. Guys, the Suicide Squad was an awesome good time. It had an almost perfect mix of comedy, heart, and action. And while there was a bit of a lull in that middle act, everything else about this movie is so good that you're able to look past that. This is absolutely one of the best comic book movies out there, and definitely one of the best ones we've gotten in recent memory. It's got great performances of great characters, a simple yet fun story, some truly laugh out loud moments, and some awesome action that equal an absolutely fantastically fun film that is absolutely worth a buy.
Do it! Do it!
Show me the money!
Do it!
You motherfucker!
So,
Show me the money!
do it!
This movie was an awesomely good time and absolutely exceeded every one of my expectations, especially after coming off the 2016 Suicide Squad. So if you're looking for just a fun movie for the night, then check out the Suicide Squad and you'll have a fantastic time with it. So there it is, guys, my review of the Suicide Squad. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon in the description below and become a jarhead and get some of the awesome benefits that go along with that, like these guys. And maybe join my top tier and become a bad motherfucker like my man Greg. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Star City. Now there is something that bothers me about the Suicide Squad and also bothered me about 2016's Suicide Squad. I mean, I guess it doesn't really bother me, but it is something I question, and that is Harley Quinn. What the fuck does she do? Why is she here? From what I can remember, she is like the only character out of the whole team that has like no power or talent really at all. She's just fucking crazy. Which, I mean, yeah, I guess being like really fucking crazy has its benefits when you're fighting people, but really, compared to everybody else, you got people who can like shoot things from real far away, super strong people, a fucking shark, somebody who can control fucking rats. What does Harley Quinn do? She's just fucking crazy. I don't know, just a thought. But yeah, while she is there, and I don't really know why, something this movie doesn't have, Jared Leto's Joker. And I think overall the world can agree that we're all better for that.